Hi everyone, welcome to the Google Digital Garage. Just before we get started, just so that you can all see and hear me correctly, if you're having any problems with the picture or the sound, the best thing that you can do is just refresh the page. That fixes most of our issues. If you're still having issues, then if you go to the bottom right corner of the YouTube video, there's a little cog. If you click on that cog, you'll be able to access your YouTube settings. And you can then fiddle about with them so that the video runs a little bit smoother. So hopefully that means you can all see and hear me okay. So we can get started with the session. So welcome. My name is Zoe. I'm going to be taking you through Google Analytics and understanding how to use data to help your business grow today. A little bit of background about myself. So I'm one of the trainers for the Google Digital Garage, which is Google's free skills training program. I've been working in digital marketing, both as a marketer and as a trainer, for sort of about 9 years now, 9.5 years, gosh. And in that time, I've worked with loads of different clients. I've worked with loads of different agencies. And one of my sort of passions was always the data side of things. It's not something that I've been able to work on as much as I would like to, because I really do get nerdy about numbers and data and graphs. But it's something that I've certainly had a passion for, and I'm really excited to be able to take you through it today. One of the key bits of marketing that most people don't really realize is measurement. It's not just about what you do, it's about being able to measure whether or not it's working. It's so important. This data and this analytics is going to help you understand who your audience is, what content works for them, and whether or not you're doing the right thing. So hopefully through this session, I'll be able to share some of my expertise and help you out with letting your business grow using data. Now, I'm not alone. I'm not the only person who is going to be helping out today. I'm also joined by Emma. So Emma is our moderator today. She is in the chat talking to you guys. I'm sure she's already said hi today. Emma is another Google Digital Garage trainer and another experienced digital marketer. She knows absolutely tons about this stuff. And the reason she's here today as the moderator is to help you out in the chat. So if you're having any issues, excuse me, if you're having any issues, if you're not sure about anything, if you've just got a question about how this applies to you or your business, or anything, there are no stupid questions after all, then go into the live chat and all you need to do is ask Emma. Now, Emma is going to be answering some of your questions. She's going to be passing some over to me because we do have question and answer breaks built into this webinar, and she's also going to be sharing questions of her own and useful links and all sorts of different ways that she'll be helping out today. So keep an eye out for her. You can recognize her in the chat both because her name is Emma, but also she should have a little blue spanner next to her name to show that she is a moderator. The only other bit of housekeeping I've got before we can get started with the session is just to remind you all that we're running this as part of a broader offering of courses, which means we've got loads of other webinars on all sorts of digital marketing topics. You can find a list of all of our webinars in the video description below, which will send you to the Digital Garage website, and you can sign up for all of them. They are all just like this one. They're completely free, and they just require watching a YouTube video and hopefully taking part in the chat. So what have we got to look at today? Well, today we're going to be looking at 3 parts. We've split the session up into 3 main sections. So number 1, what questions do you actually need to ask about your online activity, your digital marketing, things like that, in order to make sure you're getting the right information? Number 2, which tools can you use to get that information? And number 3, we're going to look specifically at Google Analytics, which is going to be the big section of the webinar. It's going to be the sort of the last half of the webinar or so. We're going to be looking specifically at Google Analytics and how we can use that to learn from our website traffic, to learn from our audience, and to make sure our marketing is working as well as it possibly can. One last thing before we get started. We do have free one-to-one mentoring available at the minute from Google. So any of you who work for a small business or for a charity based in the UK, all you need to do is head to g.co/UK mentoring. The link is on the screen at the minute, and I'm sure Emma will be putting it in the chat as well. And you'll be able to access a free hour-long one-to-one mentoring session. It's just remote learning, so it will all be done over Google Meets. and you'll be able to ask any questions you like. You'll be able to talk all about your business and get advice from a Google Digital Garage coach just like me or just like Emma, so we can help you really succeed in growing your business as much as possible. So that free one-to-one mentoring is available just at that link, g.co/UK mentoring. Do take advantage of that. It's a wonderful little program. And again, you can get some free, really good business advice specific to your business. So let's start off then with asking the right questions. Really important topic. What questions do we actually need to ask about your business that we can answer using data, specifically about how you're performing online with your marketing? There are 4 kind of main steps to this, and we'll look at each of these in more detail. So first of all, we need to work out what your objective is. Then we need to work out what question you need to address. And that's the first 2 ones that we're going to look at right now. Later on in the session, we're going to look at where you get the information from and what you do with that information. Both of them are really important. But first of all, we're going to look at those first 2 sections. What's your objective and what question do you need to address? So step 1, before we do anything with data, we need to work out what we're hoping to achieve from our marketing. We need objectives, and those objectives can be anything, really. For most businesses, your objective is going to be to make money, broadly. How you go about doing that, though, is where it's going to differ. Are you going to get more business and make more money by making more people aware of your business? Do you have lots of people who are already aware of your business? Everyone knows you exist, but not a lot of them are actually making a purchase. Well, in which case, maybe you need to get more engagement with your marketing. Do you have lots of people making a purchase, but not many people coming back for a repeat purchase? Well, then maybe you need to try and work on getting more advocacy and more reviews and things like that. So the way that you go about making money is going to be different depending on what your business is and what stage you are at. And of course, you could also be a charity, in which case the question changes a little bit. How do I get donations? Again, is it a matter of raising awareness? Is it a matter of getting people to care enough about your subject matter? Is it that you've got quite a complicated subject and you need to raise understanding of it so people know where their money is going? There's all sorts of other things to think about. So we do need to think about what our objective is going to be so we can work out what to measure, and so we can work out where data can help us. So here are some options. Here are some sort of vague ideas about objectives. We've got tell more people about my business. Again, raising that awareness that we just talked about. We've got sell more of my product or service. Again, this is probably going to be at least connected to your business's overall objectives for most businesses and most charities. Selling more is always good. It's about how you go about selling that, though, that is where we can really sort of identify where you can improve. Identify your most valuable customers. That's interesting. You might have heard of influencer marketing, where you find people who have a large social media following and see if they can do some of your marketing for you by reviewing your product or something like that. So those would be most valuable to you. Or it could be about finding repeat customers, people who keep coming back over and over again to make a purchase, and learning what is it that makes them come back? Why are they repeat customers? What is it about them that's causing them to become repeat customers, and how can we try and repeat that with other people? And then that links into, of course, finding new ways to engage with previous customers. Once somebody has bought your product, how do you get them to buy another one and another one and another one? Or if it's a service, how do you get them to keep subscribing? Or if you're a charity, how do you get them to keep donating? That's not always easy to do. So what ways could you engage them? What is it that would make them get interested in continuing to be a customer? Once you've worked that out, we can start looking at the question that you need to address. So we're going to look at this through something called a sales funnel. Now, the sales funnel looks like this. You might see it described differently, or you might see it's got different number of sections. There's all sorts of different ways that the sales funnel can differ. Generally, you're going to see them as 4 stages, and really those 4 stages are all you need. I've seen sales funnels that have sort of 11, 12, 13 different stages, and that's too much because really they boil down to these 4. You might again see them described as different categories, different words, but they do mean the same thing. So the first step is reach, and this is sometimes also called the awareness stage. Reach is about reaching new people. It's about making people aware that your business exists, making more people just know that you're out there. You can't sell to people unless they know you're out there. That is the first step. And that's why it's at the top of the funnel, because this funnel mimics a customer's journey. They're going to start off at the top with becoming aware of you, becoming aware that you exist. And that's why that's the widest part of the funnel, because you're going to get quite a lot of people learn that you exist, but not all of them are going to move on to the next stage in the funnel, which is engage. Engage your engagement. Some of them are going to drop off. They're going to be aware of you, but they're not going to be interested. They're not going to become engaged. You know, I'm aware of a lot of businesses that I'm just not interested. I'm not engaged with. I'm aware of Jaguar and Porsche and Ferrari as car brands, but A, I don't think I could ever afford one, even if I wanted to, and B, I'm not that interested in luxury cars. So even though I'm aware of them, I'm never going to move down to that engagement stage of the funnel. But some people are. And when we're in the engagement stage, what we're looking at is engaging our audience by giving them information, helping them find what they need. All sorts of different aspects to engagement. So for example, are they actually interested in your content that you're sharing online? Whether that's social media content or blogs or things like that. Are they finding your content valuable? Are they reading it? Are they sharing it? You know, are they interacting with you on social media or through other methods, of course, as well? All of these are signs of engagement. Now, none of those things are actually buying your product or your service or donating to your charity. It's all just, are they engaged? Are they interested at that point? Interest is another good word for this sort of section of the funnel. The next section, and again, remember, it's only some of the people who are engaged are going to move down to the next section. So that's why the funnel keeps getting narrower. The next section is activate, sometimes called action as well. Activate means, are they spending money? Are they booking at your hotel, is the example there? Are they making an appointment? Are they making a purchase? Are they taking the action you want them to take as a business owner or as a charity? Again, for a charity, this would be making a donation or signing up for an ongoing donation. If you've got an Amazon store, it's going to be simple. It's going to be making a purchase, buying something that you're selling. So it's different for every business again, but really, again, we need to be thinking about how many people are making purchases. And then the final stage is the nurture stage, which is sometimes called the advocacy stage. And this is where you've got people returning, becoming repeat customers, but also doing some of your marketing for you by advocating, by saying, you know, leaving a positive review, telling their friends or family or loved ones, you know, saying, I bought this really great product. I think it's fantastic. You should buy one. Or I hired this person to clean my house and they were brilliant. I'd really recommend them. Or I donated to this charity. I think it's a really valuable cause. So that kind of advocacy is really important. And again, not everyone who purchases is going to become an advocate. They're not going to reach that nurture stage. They're going to make their purchase and be basically happy with it or even unhappy with it and not tell anybody. So you do need to take action to encourage this if you want that to work. Now, obviously, it's not as simple as that for every single person. Not everybody is going to go straight through that funnel. You're going to get people who become aware of you and then start getting engaged with you, follow you on social media, but then forget you exist and then become aware of you again. And maybe becoming aware is all they need to jump straight to making a purchase. And then they might forget about you all over again and become aware of you a third time. And they might not make a purchase that time and go straight through to the nurture stage and start leaving reviews. So it's not foolproof, but generally, this is the kind of step-by-step process that most customers will end up taking. So what questions could we ask for each stage? If we've worked out, based on your objective, that you're most interested in the reach stage, what questions could we ask that data could help us with? So first of all, reach questions. How are people finding me online? If you've got a website, where are people coming to that website from? Are they coming from your social media accounts? Are they coming because they found you in a search engine? They Googled the topic of your business and they found your business that way. Are they coming from directly typing your web address in through their browser? All sorts of different options there. It tells you a lot about how you're getting found. What are they searching for? If they are looking through a search engine and finding you that way, what did they search in order to find you? What is it that they were looking for? And again, what does that tell you about your business and how you can improve it? If we move on to engagement questions, what are people engaging with once they find me online? Are they following me on Twitter? Are they following me on Instagram? Are they liking my Facebook page? Are they reading my blogs on the website? Are they subscribing to my email newsletter? What are they doing? Again, which of your communications are people engaging with the most? So which of them is the most successful when it comes to that engagement phase? Next stage is activate. Which channels are driving bookings or driving sales or donations? Are you getting more purchases from social media than you are from people who find you through organic search? If so, why? What does that tell you about your audience and your business? Who is my customer? What kind of person actually buys things? Who are they? What's motivating them to buy? What's their demographic information? What does that tell you about your customer base? Things like that. And then finally, nurture questions, that nurture stage. Are your customers talking about your business online? And if so, where? How are they talking about your business? What are they saying? Do my customers buy from me again? If so, which customers? Is there a particular demographic? Is there a particular persona that buys from you over and over again? Is that the kind of person you want to start targeting more than other people? Are repeat purchases a big part of your business, or do you mostly get one-off purchases? Again, there are loads and loads and loads of different options here when it comes to the questions that you can ask. So speaking of questions, we've got our first question break, and I'm just skimming over. Doesn't look like we've got any questions at the minute, which is absolutely fine. We do have these breaks, so if any of this doesn't make sense, if you want to know more, if you're not sure how this applies to your business or what your objective should be or what questions you could be asking, by all means, pop it in the chat and then Emma or myself will be able to answer it. But for now, let's move on with the session and we will go to which tools we can use. I'm going to have a quick water break so I don't lose my voice. So which tools can we use in order to get answers to those questions that we've asked before? And this is the third part of our 4-question framework. Remember, we started with what is my objective, and then what question do I need to address? We're now on where do I get that information from? Whenever you're looking at any kind of data, these 4 questions are the framework that you should use. Start with your objective, work out what question you need to ask, and then we can move on to where do I get that information from? There are a load of different tools available online that provide you with data about your business, your audience, your marketing, and you can use all of them in certain ways to get the information that you need to succeed. Here are just a few of them. So social media, for example, there are analytics available on social media that will tell you about the people who follow you on social media, as well as how successful your posts are. Especially if you have a business account, so Twitter for business, Instagram for business, you will get metrics from there. Organic search, you can check your performance in organic or paid search platforms using tools like Google Search Console and Google Business Profile. You can track everything that happens on your website. Every single click can be tracked using Google Analytics. So you can measure what people are doing with your website and how they're interacting with it. And again, paid search, Google Ads will tell you how successful your advertisements are being. And again, tell you some information that you can use to improve your marketing. So which tool should you use depending on the question that you ask? Well, let's look first of all at social media. We're going to look at all of these tools in turn. So this is, I believe this is a screenshot from Facebook Page Insights, which is Facebook's analytics tool. And what you can see here is we've got data and details about how people are interacting with a Facebook page. So if you look over here, we've got the results here are from June the 23rd to June the 29th, 2017. So this is a week-long search. So we're looking at data over a period of a week. We can see that we've had 8 likes during that week, and that's down by 11% compared to the week before. But total page views are up. They're up by 45% at 94 page views. We can see how many people we've reached. 5,809, our reach is going up. We can see how many people we've engaged with. 1,851 people are engaged with the posts that you have made. But our likes are going down despite all the other things going up. That tells us something, doesn't it? That gives us interesting data. It gives us details that we can use to improve our business. This is a really good way of measuring how you're performing on social media. It's also a really good way of measuring who your audience is, because think about all of the data we provide to Facebook voluntarily. Depending on how much you use Facebook, I'm one of those, terrified of data, terrified of privacy people. So I haven't told Facebook anything about me as much as I can get away with. But depending on who you are, you might have told Facebook your age, your date of birth, your gender, where you're located, whether you're married or not, and who your partner is. Are you single? Is it complicated? Do you have kids? Have you bought a house? Have you graduated from university? Which university have you graduated from? What are you interested in? What do you like? What other businesses are you interested in? What other things have you liked and engaged with? All of this we are providing Facebook with, and you as a marketer can use that data to learn about your audience. Now, it's not as spooky as I may be making it sound. You can't sort of go into the data and pick out individuals who follow you and learn all about them. Although you can obviously go to people's Facebook pages, so just be careful with what you share online, I suppose. But you can see as an average. So what's the age range of people who visit my page, who like my page? What's the gender balance? Where are they largely located? What are their general common interests, if there are any? Learning things like that can be really, really helpful. I once did a bit of work for a construction materials company. So they were selling, bricks and mortar and wood and tools and things like that. And we did some Facebook page insights, and we found out that by and large, their target audience, the people who liked their Facebook page, 60% of them were also rugby fans of the sport rugby. So we were able to use that to do some marketing, to market around the Rugby World Cup. And we saw some success that way. So you can learn all about, again, your audience's interests through page insights. Google Search Console is the next thing that we can look at, and this is all about how you are performing on organic search. Now, I should point out, both of these products that we've just mentioned, these are completely free, so it doesn't cost you anything to sign up for Facebook Page Insights, and it doesn't cost you anything to sign up for Google Search Console. It's nice and easy to set up. You just need to copy and paste a little bit of code onto your website, and if you've built your website with a website builder, that's even easier to do because the website builder will do it for you to a certain extent. But once you've got it set up, you can see how you're performing in organic search, which is when people type keywords into a search engine like Google. And when your site appears on the results page, it will be registered in Google Search Console. So what this means is you can see what words are people searching for that you are able to be found under. If you sell a fish and chip business, if you have a fish and chip shop, and somebody searches for fish and chips in your location, then are you coming up as an option? Is that something you're being found for? What about specific meals? What about chips? What about cod? What about battered sausage? I'm hungry. Can you tell? I'm already looking forward to lunch. But so Search Console is telling you all about what people are searching for that leads them to find you. It's not perfect. It doesn't tell you, for example, if there's something that your audience is searching for that could be really relevant to you. So, for example, in a hypothetical fish and chip shop, if somebody searches for takeaway, but because you haven't used the word takeaway on your website isn't coming up for that, then it won't show up in Google Search Console, obviously, because it only shows what you've come up for. So you won't necessarily know that there is a keyword out there that you could be appearing for, but you aren't. But it is good at showing you what you're already appearing for, and as well, how many people are clicking when they see you in the search results. And for what keywords are they clicking? It gives you really useful information about how you are performing in that search engine ranking. Then we've got Google Business Profile, which is kind of linked because this is more to do with Google Maps as well as Google Search. So if you've got a Google Business Profile, which we'd really recommend that you do, you can set that up and you can get visible on Google Maps, especially if you're a local, physical business like a takeaway or something like that. Google Business Profile comes with analytics, so you can see, right, how are people finding me? Are they finding me through Google Maps? If they are, how many of them who find me then click on the directions button so they can actually go to me and become a customer? So again, it's telling you all about how you're performing on that particular area. And that can tell you, again, how you're being discovered. It can be really useful for that awareness phase, for example. And last but not least, we're going to take a closer look at Google Analytics right now. But Google Analytics can answer a huge amount of those questions that we had earlier because it tells you all about what people are doing on your website, starting with where they came from. So, for example, have they come to your website from Facebook? Did they click on a link they saw in a blog somewhere? Did they type your website address directly into their search bar and come that way? We can learn all that through Google Analytics. It's going to tell you, it's the most popular website analytics tool for a reason because it does monitor every single click on your site. So you can get really detailed. There's loads of, in fact, I would argue potentially even too much data in Google Analytics. There is tons and tons and tons of information available. So you can understand what customers are doing on your website and the journeys that they're taking. It can be confusing. That's why we're going to look at it in more detail. But first of all, we have got another question break. And again, it doesn't look like we've got any questions so far, which is absolutely fine. I'm assuming that we are either following along really well or that Emma is answering all of our questions in the chat, which is brilliant. So last half an hour then, I did tell you it was going to be the large section. We're going to look at the third part of our webinar, which is all about using Google Analytics, using that data, that information that analytics provides. It's really, really important. And while we're looking at this, we're going to be looking at that fourth question. What do you do with the information? Again, really important thing to think about because we don't want you to just get hold of that data and just go, well, I don't know what to do with it now. You've just learned that 60% of your customers are from France and the most common device that is used to look at your website is an iPhone, and that most people come to your website from Twitter. All right, what does that mean? What do we do with that? So we're going to try and help you filter that and understand that data a little bit in this next section as well. So Google Analytics, when you first open up Google Analytics, and this is true for me, and I've been using this for, again, probably 7 or 8 years. When I first open up Google Analytics, the first thing I think is, because there's so much immediately on your screen. I mean, this is not actually a very good screenshot, is it? Not a very high quality one, but there's loads of data here. There's graphs, there's charts, there's numbers. It's intimidating. I don't want you to be intimidated. It is, scary and understandable to be scared when you see all this and go, oh my gosh, there's too much here to understand. Don't worry too much. Even if you're like me and you still panic after 7 years, don't worry. First of all, when you open it up, you get your dashboard. Now, your dashboard is kind of customizable, so you can get rid of anything that isn't relevant to you. But also, all of this is understandable. And Google is actually pretty good at showing you what everything means. Most of the terms and terminology you'll see on Google Analytics, if you hover your mouse over them, it will explain what that term actually means. So you will be able to actually understand a little bit more as you go through it. It's also worth mentioning at this point, for the most part, as long as you're just looking at the data and playing about with the data, you can't really break Google Analytics. I mean, you can't. I mean, it's only if you start fiddling about with like the code and how it applies to your website that you can start causing issues. But if you're just looking at the data, and if you go to your dashboard and just start clicking on things randomly, nothing's going to get broken. You're not going to end up with unusable data or anything like that. So do please try to feel like you can play about with it. Click on things and see what happens. See if you understand what you're looking at. It is difficult. Analytics does kind of have its own language, but it's super useful, and it's really worth understanding how it works because you can get so much useful information out of it. So first of all, setting up your account. So setting it up is nice and easy for the first part. You just need to go to analytics.google.com. Choose a name for your account. Again, usually this is just going to be your business name, and choose an industry category. This is only very broad. It can be something like food and drink or consumer electronics or something like that. All that does is it helps Google benchmark you, so it can give you an idea of how you're performing compared to everybody else in the same industry category as you. It's completely anonymous. It just gives you an idea of what to measure yourself against. Sometimes that can be useful, sometimes not, but you know, it's always worth putting down. Once you've done that, you'll essentially already have a Google Analytics account. That's all it's going to be. Once you've done that, you need to find the tracking code, and that allows you to track your site's performance. You need to add it to your pages. Now, this is the sort of the tricky part. There is support available. I'm sure Emma is going to be sharing. In fact, I think I just spotted her sharing a useful link already. There is useful links available and tutorials to go into this in more detail, so you can do it on your own time. But basically, you need to go and we're looking at Google Analytics, Universal Analytics at the minute. By the way, there are multiple versions of Google Analytics, and this is something called Universal Analytics. So the tracking code can be found by going into Admin, then going into Tracking Info, and then Tracking Code. So you can find Admin on the left-hand side here. And if you see here, we've got Tracking Info as an option in this menu, and then Tracking Code underneath. And that tracking code is going to give you, an ID, and it's going to give you a global site tag. And you can maybe spot that tracking ID, UA5451, etc., is in the code as well, UA5451. And what that is it's just the code says that Google can track the data that's on the website, and the tracking ID tells Google this website is associated with this Google Analytics account. Once you've got that code, you need to have it embedded in every single page of the website that you want tracked. So you don't have to put it in every single page of the website. For example, your 404 errors, you might want to not measure. But I would generally say put it in every page of your website. The place the code goes is before the head tag on each page. Now, if that doesn't make much sense to you, don't worry. If you've built your website using something like Squarespace or Wix or WordPress, what I would do is I would search how to set up Google Analytics on Wix, Squarespace, WordPress, whatever. Each of those website builders has its own function where you can just put that code into one box, and that builder will automatically apply it across your whole website. So it will do all that for you. If somebody else has built your website for you, they will be able to just pop this code at the start of each of your pages. If you've built your own website, you need to know that it goes before the head tag on each page so that it can begin tracking immediately before the page even starts loading. As soon as the page starts loading, the tracking code will sort of turn on, and it will start measuring the information, and that is called a session. And a session can only start if you've got that code embedded properly. This is what it would look like if you were using a website builder. I'm not sure which website builder this is, but if you're using WordPress or Wix, so on and so forth, there will largely be a guide to doing this, but it will look something like this. In your settings, there will be a place where you can put your Google Analytics tracking ID and custom head tag. And that's as simple as pasting the tracking ID into that box, and then it will apply it across the whole website. So once we've got Google Analytics installed, and bear in mind this is Universal Analytics, this is not Google Analytics 4, which is the other option. Once we've got it installed, we will be able to access our data. Now, Google will start measuring from the point it's got the tracking code. So it's worth, once you've got it installed, it's worth letting it run for a little while, just leaving it for 24 hours or a week or even a month so that you can get some data to actually look at, because it can't measure from any point before you installed that code. It can't measure in the past, it only measures going forward. Once you've got that data though, you can look at 4 main areas of Google Analytics: audience, acquisition, behavior, and conversions. And we can sum these up simply. Audience is who are your audience? Who are your users? Who are the people coming to your website? Acquisition is where they came from. How did they find you? Behavior is once they've arrived on your site, what do they actually do? And conversions is what are they worth to me? Are they actually making a purchase? Are they doing what I want them to do? We'll go into all of these in a little bit of detail as we move on. Before we look at each section in detail, we need to look at what the data is going to look like. So it's going to come in the forms of dimensions and metrics. So your dimension is almost always the first column. Whenever you look at a table of data in Google Analytics, you'll see a dimension, and that is an attribute. It's normally a word, basically. So it's going to be something like city or device type or age or gender. Some of those aren't words. Age, for example, would be a number, but most of them are going to be a word. Metrics are almost always going to be numbers. So your dimension over here, this is default channel grouping. What we're looking at here is acquisition. So we're looking at where our users have come from. The dimension, we're splitting them into the different places our users could have come from. So top, we've got organic search, which is they've come from a search engine. Second is referral, which means they've come from a link on somebody else's website. Then we've got direct, which means that they've put your web address into their search bar and come straight to your website. They've not come via a social media channel or a search engine. Paid search means that they've come from a paid advertisement you've put on a search engine. Social means they've come from social media. Affiliate means they've come from a link in an affiliate marketing program or an affiliated blog. And display means that they have come from a link in a display ad, a visual display ad. If you're not running these, then they won't appear. So don't worry too much if you're thinking, well, where are all my affiliate marketing? You might also see email. If you've got email marketing, people might click on a link in your email newsletter and come to your website that way. Generally, this is what it's going to look like. And then on the right hand side, we've got the metrics, the actual numbers, which tell us all about what the different numbers associated with those dimensions. So for organic search, we can see that we've got 7,340 users that have come to our website from organic search. And then it tells us the percentage of users as well. So 55.56%, just over half of all of our users are coming from organic search. It tells us how many of them are new users as opposed to returning users who've come before. So new users, 6,571 are coming from organic search. Again, that's roughly nearly 60%, so slightly more, a slightly higher percentage of new users are coming from organic search than returning users. It tells us how many sessions that they've had. Now, remember, a session is when you first arrive on a website, it starts the session. So one user can have multiple sessions because you can go to a website, leave it, close the tab down, close your computer down even, and then you can come back later, go to that website again, and that starts another session. So you're almost always going to have, well, I think always going to have more sessions than you have users, because some of your users are going to come to your website more than once. And again, in this case, we've got 8,050 sessions coming from organic search, 52.97% of our total. All of this data is already telling us stuff, but that's what it's largely going to look like. You're going to have the dimension on the left-hand side, and then you're going to have all of the different metrics on the right towards the ends of the table. So how can we use that REAN, that REAN framework that we looked at before, reach, engage, action, and nurture, to ask the right questions, get the information from Google Analytics, and answer those questions and do something with that data? So first question, how are people finding me online? How do we answer that? How do we learn about that from Google Analytics? Well, first of all, we are going to look at acquisition. And in Universal Analytics, that means we go to acquisition on the left-hand menu. And if you see here, we've got acquisition. Underneath that, we've got our sub-menu. We want to go to all traffic and we get another sub-menu and we look at channels. And channels is going to tell us which channels people are arriving from. So again, we've got this organic search. We've got the same exact thing we were just looking at, just in a bit more detail. It's telling us where people are coming from for the most part and where our new users are coming from as well. If we've got a particularly high percentage of users versus new users, that tells us something. It tells us all sorts of other metrics that we'll look at in a little while as well. But that's basically telling us how people are finding you. And then we can look at how engaged they are as well as part of that, which again, we will look at in more detail in a second. So what we can do with that information, for example, remember, going back, if you click on any of these links in blue, by the way, if we clicked on organic search, we would go one step further. Excuse me. We go one step further into the data. And what that means is we'd be able to look at not only how many people are coming from organic search, but what keywords they were arriving from. So we could get more data. If we clicked on social media, for example, we'd be able to access more information about which social networks they were coming from. Are they mostly coming from Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, things like that? So we can learn all that from clicking through further into the data. So what we can do with this information, again, we can click further into the data and we can identify which search terms people are using to come to our website, which of them are driving our organic traffic. We could look and see if we've got any sort of blind spots in social media. Maybe we've got a lot of Facebook followers, but not many people coming to the website from Facebook, in which case we might want to improve our links and improve the way that we're marketing our website on Facebook. Maybe we could develop our relationships with referral websites. Referral websites, remember, are other websites that send traffic to yours. Maybe you've written a guest blog, or maybe you've got a partnership with another business or another website to send traffic your way. You'll be able to look and see if it's working, see if it's worth trying that with other businesses and other websites, or if it's not working, maybe you want to renegotiate the partnership. So next question, engage. What are people engaging with when they find you online? What exactly are they spending time interacting with? For that, we're going to go to behavior. And again, we're going to go to behavior, site content, and all pages. So we're going to go through a few different little steps to get to the information that we need. What that is going to show, all pages, is going to show every single page in your website. Now, this is only the first 10 options. It shows you them in chunks of 10, but it is going to show every single page on your website. And it's going to show you how many page views they're getting. So how many times those pages have been visited, how many times they've been viewed. How many unique page views. So that means basically how many, how many users are viewing each page. Because one user could view a page more than one time, couldn't they? They could come back to your homepage twice, and then that's 2 page views, but only 1 unique page view, if that makes sense. That's going to tell you, again, if there are pages that people are visiting multiple times over and over again, or if there are pages that people, a lot of users are going to, as opposed to just the same users over and over again. It's going to show you the average time they spent on your page, which is a good indicator of how engaged they are, isn't it? Because if they spend lots and lots of time on your page, they're probably engaged with it. They're probably reading it. That's not always the case. Some websites, for example, Amazon, it probably doesn't want people to be spending that much time on the website or on certain pages, because it wants it to be nice and convenient for somebody to go to the website, find what they're looking for, and make that purchase. So if they're spending ages and ages, that maybe is an indicator that it's not as easy for their users to find what they're looking for. After that, we've got entrances. Your entrances are the number of people arriving on your website at that page. So it's telling you which pages are most likely to be the first page people visit. Usually that's going to be your home page, but not always. And certainly it's worth looking at which pages people are landing on. After that, we've got the bounce rate. This is a really useful, really important statistic that a lot of people don't really use, either don't think about, or they overthink it a little bit. So I'm going to try and explain it properly for you guys now. So your bounce rate is the percentage of users, so the percentage of people visiting your website who leave it without interacting with the site. So if I went onto your website, went onto your homepage, and I looked at your homepage, now I can scroll, so I can scroll down to the bottom of your homepage, scroll back up to the top. That's not going to affect it. But if I go to your homepage and then leave the website without clicking on any links, without going to any other parts of your web page, that would be a bounce. I would have bounced because I hadn't clicked on anything. It's not the be all and end all, because obviously I could be on a blog, for example, and I could be reading that blog and I could be finding it absolutely fascinating. I could be thinking, this is amazing. I really love this. I'm going to tell all my friends about it. But if I don't click on another link, if I don't go further into your website, I will still count as having bounced, and your bounce rate will increase. You want this to be low, but don't worry too much about it. A lot of websites that I've dealt with have bounce rates usually between sort of 60 and 70%, which might seem really high, but that's kind of standard. Depends on the industry, obviously, depends on the business, but 60 to 70% is nothing to be worried about. If we're approaching 80 to 90%, then yeah, there's something going wrong there. And it could be all sorts of things. It could be that it's just not clear where to click. It's not clear what the next steps should be. You know, again, the example I gave, if I've got a really great blog, but nobody is clicking through further into my website, then even though that blog could be really well written, it's essentially failed, because it's not getting people to click through. It's not getting people to continue being engaged. So maybe I could have a list of other blogs that people could visit after they've read mine, a few suggested blogs at the bottom to keep people on the website, to keep them going through it. Or I could put more links in the blog to different parts of the website so it's clear where people can go. Then we've got the exit percentage. That's what percentage of people leave the website on that page. Again, some pages that's going to be really high, some pages that's going to be really low. You're going to find a lot of drop-offs, things like your checkout page if you're an e-commerce business, because there are people who are going to start making a purchase but then finish before they decide they don't want to finish the purchase before they get to the checkout stage. So all of that is telling us all about our users and how they're interacting with our website and what they're finding interesting. You could use this page, for example, to see which of your blogs is getting read the most, or which blogs got people spending the most time on it. So you can learn what type of content is the most engaging for your audience. We could learn what pages aren't getting any views. What pages have we put up that people just aren't interested in, as well as what is engaging. That's just as important, isn't it? We don't just want to look at the things that are succeeding. We want to look at the things that are failing so we can work out, well, why are they failing? What does that tell us about our audience and our business? And what can we do to fix it? Again, like I mentioned, looking at that exit percentage could tell you that you're losing a lot of people at certain points in your website. Often this is the payment page because maybe it's really complicated. You know, if I get to a payment page and rather than just having a PayPal link, I have to put in my name and address and my credit card details and my degree history and my favorite type of animal and my mother's maiden name. You know, I'm not going to put all that in. I'm going to go, okay, this is too much information. This is too much effort. I'm going to leave. So that would tell you as a business that you need to simplify that and try and make it as easy as possible for people to make their way through your checkout process. Then we've got activate. Which channel is driving the most bookings? Now the activate, again, we can look at acquisition, all traffic and channels. So this is, again, it's the same as we were looking at before for where people have come from, except this time we're looking at conversions. Now your conversions, your goals are things that you have to set up. They are custom. Google can help you out with them, but generally they are custom goals. And you're basically telling Google, I will count a conversion as having happened, or I will count a goal as having succeeded whenever somebody does this thing. So that could be finishes a purchase, really common one. It could be signs up for your newsletter. It could be follows you, clicks the follow me on Facebook button. It could do any of those things. Usually, though, we'd want it to be to do with your commercial success, so making purchases, making donations, making bookings. These bits are going to show you that because they're going to show you your goals. You can choose which goal you're looking at. There's a little drop-down menu up here, and it tells you details about the goals. So it tells you, first of all, what percentage of users actually complete that goal from these different channels. So first up here, we've got referral users. We're looking primarily at referral users as the ones who are most likely to complete that goal that we've set. It shows that 7% of our referral users complete that goal. And that is 225 people, which is the next column, which is the number of people who completed that goal. And then the final column is the value of that goal. Now you can set the value or you can set it up so that it takes the value of the purchase from the purchase that people have made. In this case, we've set the value to 0. They've said that there is no value necessarily, but you can set that higher. And that's telling you that referral traffic is the one that's most likely to complete this particular goal. So you can look at that from any different goal and any different channel. You might find that, people who come to you from social media are the most likely to make a purchase, for example. It's going to tell us which sites drive conversions, which referral. Again, remember, we can always click on the blue link and go one step further into this data. So we can learn which sites are actually driving conversions, which sites are the ones that are causing people to make a purchase, or which social networks, or even which keywords people are searching for that make them most likely to make a purchase with us. Again, all of this is to do with referring sites on the slide. Maybe we can look at underperforming sites. Maybe we can look at sites that are succeeding and we can maybe develop partnerships with. But also it can tell us, maybe we're getting loads and loads of traffic from Twitter, but we're not getting any conversions from Twitter. We're not getting any purchases. Well, again, that tells us that we need to change our tactics a little bit. Last but not least, nurture. Are my customers happy to leave a review? Do they come back? Are they repeat customers? Where do we find that data? Well, in this case, we're going to go into conversions again. So conversions, these are the things that you would want to set up in order to track whether people are making purchases or not. But in this case, instead of going to goals and setting up a goal, we're going to go to e-commerce and we're going to go to reports. In this case, we've got a custom report called checkout behavior. And what this is showing us is what steps people take and the journey that they take through our website and what the drop-off point is at each stage. So this is a little bit blurry, but you might be able to see that we've got a sort of a bar graph here of each different stage in the purchasing process. So first of all, we've got billing and shipping. We've got 206 people who arrive at the billing and shipping stage of the purchasing process. And what Google Analytics is showing us is how many of those people then move on to making that payment once they've got to the billing and shipping page. In this case, it goes from 206 down to 99. And this bit at the bottom is showing how many and what percentage of people drop off. So 146 people, that's 70%, gosh, that seems high. There's a large portion of people drop off at that stage. They don't go on to make a payment. And again, we've got 99 people making a payment. 81 of them drop off at that stage. They don't go to the next stage, which is leaving a review. Only 9 people leave a review. So we can see the percentage of people who've, only, we can say roughly, in fact, exactly 1/11 of our customers, 1 person in 11 is going to leave a review. So around about 10% of our customers are going to leave an actual review on our website. That's it. And that's just of the people who've made a purchase. It's a much smaller percentage of the number of people who start the purchasing process. So this is telling us, okay, first of all, it's telling us how many people are leaving reviews. It's telling us, we can also look at where those reviews are, where they're coming from. It allows us to get that genuine feedback and responses, but also it's showing us, right, if we're not getting those reviews, if we're getting 10% is actually not bad. 10% is relatively good. If you've got 10% of people who buy your product leaving you a review, that's pretty good. But this information is telling us all sorts of things about the journey that our customers take. It lets us try different ways. It lets us measure this. So what we could do is we could try to encourage purchasers to leave a review and then look at this data again and see if it changes month on month. So we might be able to see, right, if all we need to do is once they reach the thank you page, if we give them a link that says, if you like our product, leave us a review here. If that's all we change, we can then look back in a month or 2 or 3 months and see if that's increased the percentage of people leaving reviews. Just as an example of something that you could do and you could measure. So we're at our final break for questions. We've sort of gone for a bit of a whistle-stop tour through Google Analytics. It doesn't look like we've got any questions right now. We've only got a few minutes left, so I'll start finishing off. But if you do have any questions, there's still time. Worth pointing out that Google Analytics does have something called the Analytics Academy, which is a sort of an online sort of workshop course that lets you go into more detail and all of the things we've looked at here, so you can really understand how to navigate Google Analytics. This has been a little bit of a whistle-stop tour, but hopefully it's helped you understand, how to get started and what kind of data to look for. There's also a online course called the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing that we have from Google. It does contain a few sections on analytics. Again, really good place to start if you really want to get to grips with this. And if you complete the Fundamentals of Google Marketing course, you do get a little badge of completion, which you can put on your CV. It's a certification backed by the Open University, so it is a valuable certification, and it is completely free. It's about a 40-hour course, so completely free and worthwhile, I think. So next steps for everyone then, what can you do? Well, remember, we do have that free one-to-one mentoring. We are more than happy to talk about Google Analytics in that mentoring session, but also anything, if you want help with your social media, you want help deciding on who your audience should be, whatever the case, we can help you out. All you need to do is head to g.co/UK mentoring, link there on the screen, and I believe in the chat as well. And if you've enjoyed this session, if you've liked what you've seen, or if you haven't liked what you've seen, then please do leave us some feedback. We have our feedback link there at goo.girl/digitalgaragefeedback. That's going to help us make these sessions better for everybody involved. It's going to make things better. If you've liked it, tell us what you liked. If you didn't like it, tell us what you didn't like, and we can tweak the session accordingly so that you get the best possible experience, and we can make this better for everybody. Don't forget, we are running loads and loads of other webinars. You can find all of our courses and the link in the video description. And that's pretty much it. So we're just about out of time as well. So I'm just going to say thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. A huge thank you to Emma. She's been a fantastic moderator. I'm sure you'll agree with that. So make sure you're showing your appreciation in the chat for her. And I'm going to say goodbye. So thank you, everybody. I hope this has been useful, and I hope I will see you on another Google Digital Garage session at some point in the future. Take care.